Sweet. I'm actually gonna start a little bit early tonight, maybe. I'm gonna start with some, we're gonna put that there. Let's put this over there. Hey guys, I'm Panda. I'm starting a little bit early here on Politics and Calipers. Let's see. No Name is still out touching grass, you know, being a part of reality for a hot minute, and he'll be back tomorrow night. And let's see what else we got going. We're going to talk about a little bit about Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, as well as some of the fallout from it. It's been particularly interesting. The campaign against her, plus the, you know, the pressure she's really put on others, actually. We'll see what we can see again. We'll go over a testimony as well. And then a little bit of catting and a little bit of Manic miners. So it should be quite fun. Let me just make sure I'm set up. Oh fuck. I did not need to get it up there. That's fine. Oh wait, that's not, fuck me, that's not even the thing I was looking for. That's funny. Let's see. We gained a subscriber last night. I'm very excited about that. If he's come back to watch again, I assume it's a he. I guess I'm just saying. If the subscriber has come back to watch again, hello. It's awesome that you came through, and hope you keep enjoying it. Let's see what we got going. We're gonna double check this thing's worked. I assume it's a he. I guess I'm just saying. If the subscriber has come back to watch it. Okay, it did. Sweet. Can I go to the control room? There it is. There's the button I'm looking for. I'm still getting used to this whole setup. But we'll figure it out as we go. So I'm just gonna watch some Fusion 360 stuff for the next couple minutes as I get set up here, so that I see what I can learn, because I have forgotten so much of it. Lois Christensen, I remember when I was first learning, he was just making channel stuff, so he's an old head when it comes to Fusion 360. He really knows what's up.
It's very powerful CAD software, but with great power come great responsibilities, and it can seem a little overwhelming in the beginning, and there is some best practices to get a good model. In this basic video, I will take you through those basic steps, and I will model up a part from start till finish. Hi everybody, my name is Lars Christensen, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. This video is the video that I wish I had come across when I started using Fusion 360. Taking a part like this is a plastic conduit, might find a few of these around in your house, and model it up from start till finish. But not just click, and then be done. We're actually going to slow down a little bit and talk about some of the why we're doing certain things. So if you're a CAD ninja, this video is probably not for you. But if you're brand new to Fusion 360, or if you have a certain areas that kind of like confuses you a little bit, well, then sit tight. Lastly, before we get started, I love your comments and suggestions down in the comment area down there. I know many people read them. I can promise you that I read them all. And if you like this video, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. If you don't, well, hit the thumbs down. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. So let's get going here. So the first thing you're going to make sure of is that we are in the model environment inside of Fusion 360. This is like what we call parametric modeling. Second, we also want to make sure that our units is correct. Now, you can change the units in the preferences up here in the drop down, so they always default to whatever you want. But you can also change it right here on the fly. I think that's another important thing to know. And we're going to do this in millimeters. Okay, to that, and now we are in millimeters. So if you're looking at this conduit, we can say that it has 4 parts. There's kind of the box, there's a lid, and then there is 2 screws. Now, if you're coming from another CAD system, you might be used to that we create each component and then merge them together later in an assembly file. We actually don't have to do that inside of Fusion 360. We can do it all in one file. It is good practice, though, that if you are going to do that, to kind of like decide to do that up front. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a component that's going to be the box, we're going to create a component that's going to be the lids, and then we're actually just going to bring in the screws from the McMaster catalog that resides right inside of Fusion 360. Now, before we start drawing anything, we're going to go ahead and create those components here in the tree. We're going to do that by just going up and right-click and saying New Component. Now, as soon as we do that, then we'll see we get a component here, and the top component actually kind of like shows us an assembly icon. Now, if you are looking for more information about components, I would recommend that you watch the video. There should be a card coming flying out here, and I've also put it down in the description for the components video I created. So if you really want to dig deep into that, check that out. So the first component here is going to be the box. So we can click on that, and we can actually rename that. I'm just going to call it box. And then I'm going to go up and create one more component up here by right-clicking and say New Component, and that one we're going to call the lid.
For any of you SolidWorks users, this is a lot like, I think it's top-down assembly design. So, you know, it's not that it's super foreign, it's just that every word you're going to be looking for is going to mean something slightly different here, whether it be like group versus block, when grouping up sketches, like a ton of lines, or push pull face, extrude, stuff like that.
Slow click. I'm just gonna call that the lid. So what we have now is we have a master top component or assembly, and then we have the two components right here. Now you'll see that there's a little eye looking at you next to the name. That depends on what component that is active. So whatever this fish eye is activated on, right now the lid, if I go up and I activate it on the box, now the box component will be active. And we're gonna start out with the box here to model this part up. Now what each component here has in it is it has its own organ. And I actually prefer to turn that on. So I have made sure that my units are right. I have my first component created here, the box, and I make sure that is active. So when I start drawing now, I'm actually drawing within that component. And I have also turned the organ on, so I can kind of like see that, because that's one of the things that is important when we start sketching inside of Fusion, is that we tie our sketches down to an organ. It's kind of like nailing things in place in space. So to start, in the first entity on this part is kind of like to rough out the outside perimeter of the box. So when you start a sketch within Fusion 360, a 2D sketch, you always have to start on either a face or a plane. We'll create a 2D sketch that we then will extrude into 3D space. Now that sketch gotta be either on a face or a plane. That's a rule. Now in this case here, we don't have a face because we haven't started a sketch. We don't have anything 3D in the model yet. So we have to start on a plane. So we have 3 planes we can pick from. I'm gonna select this plane, but it's not really important what plane you select for this. Now you could go up and use the menus up here and top, and there's a bunch of drop-down menus here, but I really don't like hunting for these, and I don't think that it makes any sense for you as a new user to start in here in the drop-down and then later on learning other things. I think you might as well just learn the quickest way to start with. So that is to go over here on the plane and right-click. And if I right-click right here, I can create the first sketch. So I'm gonna click on that, and when I do that, automatically the plane will go normal to where we're sketching. So that's why you saw everything spinning. And you will get this menu over here that shows you our sketching constraints. We're talking these in a little second. You will also see that we are starting down here in the bottom to capture the history. So this is one of the powers, as you can see as we're modeling up this little box here, is one of the powers is that we have this history. Now, just to go back up to the menu up here, if I hit the drop down, you will see that we have different sketching tools in here to help us. So we have some different types of rectangles, we have some different types of circles and so forth. But like I said before,
the problem is I know all this stuff, but I also know at some point, you know what, we're just gonna start skipping around. This is getting really bad. I know how I would make that though. That's not my problem. Let me type in assemblies again, because that's I think the bigger problems. I kind of know things, but this is a bit tougher than that. Well, it is 10 o'clock anyway, so we're going to get onto the politics for a second. We're going to, let's see, make a YouTube, pull it in by itself. Okay, so let's see what we got going here today. As you guys know, the Jan 6 committee had its 5th hearing this previous week, where Cassidy Hutchinson, a former aide to Mark Meadows, who was the chief of staff, a very important role, testified in front of the committee and said some kind of crazy things, if I do say so myself. So let's see if we can bring up some of her highlights. So let's make sure these are actually videos. I just want to go over what she says in no particular order. I think a lot of what she said is important. I just don't want to do the whole 2 and a bit hours worth, I think. Is this? No, that's the entire thing. I don't really care what floating heads say. You're coming here to watch my floating head in some ways. Cassidy Hutchins' shocking testimony. That seems like a half-decent one. Testify, sure. No, I don't want to watch the full thing. Oh, we might just need to go find that section in general. So let's jump right into it with this one.
Just to be clear, Ms. Hutchinson, is it your understanding that the president wanted to take the mags away and said that the armed individuals were not there to hurt him?
That's a fair assessment.
I just want to confirm that that is when you heard the president say that people with weapons weren't there to hurt him and that he wanted the Secret Service to remove the magnetometers.
That's correct.
Mr. Cipollone said something to you like, make sure the movement to the Capitol does not happen. Is that correct?
Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect.
So they've already changed, but that first part about there was his speech pre-Capitol, and when he was there, you have to go through magnetometers to get to the section, but people could also view it from outside of there, and so at some point, according to her, he said the people who are armed, which many were, they had good video of Secret Service and other security forces talking about, hey, there's a individual with a gun in the tree. I think they called him an elevated threat, which was kind of a decent pun, unintentional. So that was pretty major, though, to say, like, I don't really care. Well, we'll get to what he said later.
Fact of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
And do you remember which crimes Mr. Cipollone was concerned with?
In the days leading up to the 6th, we had conversations about potentially obstructing justice or defrauding the electoral count.
What happened in the president's vehicle when the Secret Service told him he would not be going to the Capitol?
The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now. To which Bobby responded, sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol.
On December 1, 2020, Attorney General Barr said in an interview that the Department...
That was a crazy section, right? Trump, she alleges that Trump jumped at, and tried to commandeer the vehicle, as well as put hands on a Secret Service member. So, pretty significant there, as well as the White House clearly knew some of the legality limitations on January 6th. Hopefully the chicken nuggies incident gets put in here too.
of Justice had not found evidence of widespread election fraud sufficient to change the outcome of the election. Ms. Hutchinson, how did the president react to hearing that news?
I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall, and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall.
You heard the president, Mr. Meadows, and the White House counsel discussing the hang Mike Pence chance.
Oh, we'll get to that one in a second. So, yes, it's what's his former DOJ head, Bill Burr, went on and said, he has not seen a credible case. He has had many segments through the January 6th to be promoted, put in front of the viewers, and most of them have come to the idea that this is, I think in his words, quote unquote, bullshit. So, again, Trump didn't want to hear it. They kind of knew it from everyone around them, etc.
And had thrown his lunch against the wall.
You heard the president, Mr. Meadows, and the White House counsel discussing the hang Mike Pence.
Let's talk about how funny him throwing his chicken nuggies and ketchup is. Just kind of funny.
Yes.
They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung. And Mark had responded something to the effect of, you heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong.
As rioters chanted hang Mike Pence, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, said that, quote, Mike deserves it.
As an American,
This would be insanely shocking and damning if, he did. Well, I mean, again, he sent out that tweet. He would have been completely okay with it. That's not that questionable. The big thing is if somebody can say that he legitimately said it himself and not just inferred it from his tweet. But one can hope. One can hope.
Disgusted. It was unpatriotic. It was un-American. We were watching the Capitol building get defaced over a lie.
Did Rudy Giuliani ever suggest that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
He did.
Ms. Hutchison, did White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows ever indicate that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
Ms. Meadows did seek that pardon. Yes, ma'am.
Those are not the only two that seek pardons. John Eastman, Matt Gaetz was looking for multiple reasons. Multiple people were looking for these pardons. I think they knew, just how bad of what they were trying to do actually was. And I think you also see it in some of the other texts of Fox News host Sean Hannity being like, okay, we can't talk about this anymore. Not that this was ever, mentioned by them to be like illegal, wrong, or, morally unjustifiable, but mostly that it was bad optics.
On January 3rd, Mr. Cipollone had approached me knowing that Mark had raised the prospect of going up to the Capitol on January 6th. Mr. Cipollone and I had a brief private conversation where he said to me, we need to make sure that this doesn't happen. This would be legally a terrible idea for us. We have serious legal concerns if we go up to the Capitol that day. And he then urged me to continue relaying that to Mr. Meadows because it's my understanding that Mr. Cipollone thought that Mr. Meadows was indeed pushing this along with the president.
And we understand, Ms. Hutchison, that you also spoke to Mr. Cipollone on the morning of the 6th as you were about to go to the rally on the Ellipse. And Mr. Cipollone said something to you like, make sure the movement to the Capitol does not happen. Is that correct?
That's correct. I saw Mr. Cipollone right before I walked out onto West Exec that morning, and Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
And do you remember which crimes Mr. Cipollone was concerned with?
In the days leading up to the 6th, firm with my legal terms here, but I apologize for probably not being very firm with my legal terms here. Having a private conversation with Pat late in the afternoon of 3rd or the 4th, that Pat was concerned it would look like we were obstructing justice or obstructing the electoral college count, and I apologize for probably not being very firm with my legal terms here, but that it would look like we were obstructing what was happening on Capitol Hill, and he was also worried that it would look like we were inciting a riot or encouraging a riot to erupt on the Capitol, at the Capitol.
So yeah, it absolutely would have been if Trump had been there at the beginning. People would have acted exponentially worse. I think that's safe to say. Somewhat fortunate that we did need to make martyrs out of people. I guess it's really good to have seen that it didn't come to one of the bloodiest days in American history in sense of consequentialness. In recent history. I'm not sure if I'll stay by that for all times, but what other parts? If you haven't seen some of the other ones, I think hearing 1, 3, and 5 are the ones to hear, by the way. This is 5. It really goes to show you just how ungrounded and purely evil this attempt was, quite frankly.
In fact, in the days before January 6th and on January 6th itself, President Trump expressed to multiple White House aides that he wanted to go to the Capitol after his speech. Here's what various White House aides have told the committee about the president's desire to go to the Capitol.
Did the president tell you this, that he wanted to speak at the Capitol?
Correct, yes.
During the meeting in the dining room, did the idea of the president proceeding or walking to the Capitol on the 6th after his speech come up?
Walking to the Capitol? No.
Driving to the Capitol?
It came up.
Okay, how did it come up and what was discussed?
He brought it up. He said, I want to go down to the Capitol.
What about him marching to the Capitol on the 6th?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So it's kind of a general thing. I mean, to get into the specifics of it, I was aware of a desire of the president to potentially march to or accompany the rally attendees to the Capitol.
When did you first hear about this idea of the president accompanying rally attendees to the Capitol on the 6th?
Well, this was at the 6th. This was during the after he finished his remarks.
So yeah, this will be important for later context when we start talking about the fallout. This one should be fun. Let's see what happens.
I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president. Take me up to the Capitol now. To which Bobby responded, sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol. Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall, and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor.
I would move heaven and earth. I would allow the insurrection to succeed if I could just have that footage. I'm just saying.
They had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall.
Was this the only instance that you are aware of where the president threw dishes?
It's not.
And are there other instances in the dining room that you recall where he expressed his anger?
There were several times throughout my tenure with the Chief of Staff that I was aware of him either throwing dishes or flipping the tablecloth to let all the contents of the table go onto the floor and likely break or go everywhere. 9.
I, again, would kill to see this.
Guns in the form of pistols and rifles, bear spray, body armor, spears, and flagpoles. Spears were one item, flagpoles were one item, and then Tony had relayed to me something to the effect of, these effing people are fastening spears onto the ends of flagpoles.
The rioters chanted, hang Mike Pence. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, said that, quote, Mike deserves it, and that those rioters were not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, let's see if I can get... We can go to the full thing and I'll cut to the end real quick, because there's one bombshell. We have that one coming up. I'll go find that in a second.
We understand, Ms. Hutchinson, that the plans for the president to come up to the Capitol had included discussions at some point about what the president would do when he came up to the Capitol on January 6th. Let's look at a clip of one of your interviews discussing that issue with the committee.
When you were talking about a scheduled movement, did anyone say what the president wanted to do when he got here?
No. Not that I can specifically remember. I remember hearing a few different ideas discussed between Mark and Scott Perry, Mark and Rudy Giuliani. I don't know which conversations were elevated to the president. I don't know what he personally wanted to do when he went up to the Capitol that day. I know that there were discussions about him having another speech outside of the Capitol before going in. I know that there was a conversation about him going into the House chamber at one point.
As we've all just heard, in the days leading up to January 6th, on the day of the speech, both before and during and after the rally speech, President Trump was pushing his staff to arrange for him to come up here to the Capitol during the electoral vote count. Let's turn now to what happened in the president's vehicle when the Secret Service told him he would not be going to the Capitol after his speech. First, here's the president's motorcade leaving the ellipse after his speech on January 6th. Ms. Hutchinson, when you returned to the White House in the motorcade after the president's speech, where did you go?
When I returned to the White House, I walked upstairs towards the Chief of Staff's office, and I noticed Mr. Renato lingering outside of the office. Once we had made eye contact, he quickly waved me to go into his office, which was just across the hall from mine. When I went in, he shut the door, and I noticed Bobby Engel, who was the head of Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he'd said, "Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast?" I said, "No, Tony, I just got back. What happened?" Tony proceeded to tell me that when the president got in the Beast, he was under the impression from Mr. Meadows that the off-the-record movement to the Capitol was still possible and likely to happen, but that Bobby had more information. So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol, and when Bobby had relayed to him, "We're not, we don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing," the president had very strong, very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, taking up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president...
I'm trying to get to the end part real quick, so I got distracted by a DM that I had to respond to. Let's go look at this table soon. This might get interesting.
Was that based solely on what the president said during his speech, or anything that he or anybody else said afterwards?
So to the best of my recollection, I believe when we got back to the White House, he said he wanted to physically walk with the marchers, and according to my notes, he then said he'd be fine with just riding the beast. But to the best of my recollection, he wanted to be a part of the march in some fashion.
Okay, and just for the record, the beast refers to the presidential limousine?
Yes.
President Trump did not go to the Capitol that day. We understand that he blamed Mark Meadows for that.
So prior to leaving the rally site, when he got off the stage and everybody was making the movement back to the motorcade, I had overheard Mr. Meadows say to him then, as I had prior to Mr. Trump taking the stage that morning, that he was still working on getting an off-the-record movement to the Capitol. So when Mr. Trump took the stage, he was under the impression by Mr. Meadows that it was still possible. So when he got off the stage, I had relayed to Mr. Meadows that I had another conversation with Tony, the movement was still not possible. Mr. Meadows...
Yeah, so again, they wanted to go to the Capitol, they wanted to incite more shit. This was going to get a lot worse if it had happened. The amount of fighting, I think, would have grown a lot. As we know, the Proud Boys, 3%ers, Oath Keepers types had stationed around DC little more units and could have been called in. I don't think the full force was there. We've seen them do that before. There was definitely more planning involved on their side as well, and hopefully that will come to light, because this paramilitary element to this movement is similar to like the Franco Corps in the Weimar Republic after World War One. It is not a good system that exists. We cannot have this in our nation. The Patriot Front group got caught with 31 people going to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, to a pride rally with guns. I don't think that would have ended particularly well. But let's see. Yeah, so very dangerous. There was communication between the Proud Boys and those groups and the Trump admin. She said that elsewhere in the testimony.
Our witness today is Ms. Cassie Hutchinson, who's...
I don't think I really care about that part. Let's go to Jan 6th hearing and see if I can find the full video. There is a moment at the end that I want to quickly touch upon.
It's draft day, and ZipRecruiter...
They put out a pretty substantial claim at the end, and I think it should be brought to light. I think it demonstrates more the character of this as well. So let's go to the end here.
I can't term.
Before they check out. Let's see.
Convinced to put out a video on the 7th. I understand he had a lot of opinions about what the context of that announcement were to entail. I had a of who convinced him, or if it was a group of people that convinced him. McEnany as well.
The president ultimately delivered the remarks. Unlike
Oh, hold on, this is important.
Mark, Ivanka, Mike Pence by not standing with him.
but the president's advisors urged him to give the speech.
Who convinced him to do the video on the 7th?
I'm not sure who convinced him or if it was a group of people that convinced him.
Who was in the group that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of: Mark, Ivanka, Jared Kushner, Eric Hirschman, Pat Cipollone, Pat Philbin. Those are the people that I'm aware of.
Do you know why that group of people thought it was necessary for him to release a statement?
I believe Kelly McEnany as well. From what I understood at the time, and from what the reports were coming in, there's a large concern of the 25th Amendment potentially being invoked, and there were concerns about what would happen in the Senate if the 25th was invoked. So the primary reason that I had heard, other than, we did not do enough on the 6th, we need to get a stronger message out there and condemn this, otherwise this will be your legacy. The secondary reason to that was, think about what might happen in the final 15 days of your presidency if we don't.
More optics. Again, not that the election fraud was a lie. Nothing. It was purely an optics play that they had to back off of.
Do this. There's already talks about invoking the 25th Amendment. You need this as cover.
The president ultimately delivered the remarks. Unlike many of his other speeches, he did not ad-lib much. He recited them without significant alteration, except one. Even then, on January 7th, 2021, the day after the attack on the U.S. Capitol, the president still could not bring himself to say, quote, "but this election is now over." One other point about the speech, Ms. Hutchinson. Did you hear that Mr. Trump at one point wanted to add language about pardoning those who took part in the January 6th riot?
I did hear that, and I understand that Mr. Meadows was encouraging that language as well.
Thank you, and here's what you told us previously about that.
You said he was instructed not to include it. Who was instructing him not to include language about the pardon in that January 7th?
I understood from White House counsel's office coming to our office that morning that they didn't think that it was a good idea to include that in the speech.
That being Pat Cipollone?
That's correct. And Eric Hirschman.
Ms. Hutchinson, did Rudy Giuliani ever suggest that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
He did.
Ms. Hutchinson, did White House chief continue to be a team player?
Oh,
They know I'm on
this is what I'm trying
to this question. Without identifying any of the individuals, our committee commonly asks witnesses connected to Mr. Trump's administration or campaign whether they've been contacted by any of their former colleagues or anyone else who attempted to influence or impact their testimony. Without identifying any of the individuals involved, let me show you a couple of samples of answers we received to this question. First, here's how one witness described phone calls from people interested in that witness's testimony. Quote, "What they said to me is, as long as I continue to be a team player, they know I'm on the right team. I'm doing the right thing. I'm protecting who I need to protect. You know I'll continue to stay in good graces in Trump world." And they have reminded me a couple of times that Trump does read transcripts, and just keep that in mind as I proceed through my interviews with the committee. Here's another sample in a different context. This is a call received by one of our witnesses. Quote, "A person let me know you have your deposition tomorrow. He wants me to let you know he's thinking about you. He knows you're loyal, and you're going to do the right thing when you go in for your deposition."
This is just straight up mob boss shit. This is witness tampering to the fullest degree. This might actually be a really good, funnily enough, a kind of a good domino to have happened. This was a phone call. That's data that can be had. This is a low-hanging fruit of a charge that might help put more pressure to bring to light just the full severity of the situation that unfolded on Jan 6th.
I think most Americans know that attempting to influence witnesses to testify untruthfully presents very serious concerns. We will be discussing these issues as a committee, carefully considering our next steps. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back.
So I think that's I think the big highlights was that there was more thought around Jan 6th and moving to the Capitol, and in fact becoming very aggravated and when not allowed to go to the Capitol, and then this end piece of witness tampering right at the end. Now, originally Cassidy Hutchinson had a Trump lawyer and found out that maybe she should get a second opinion, and did, and I think that lawyer scared her straight into thinking that it would be good to talk to these people, which it was. So she put a ton of pressure outwards, as we're going to see here if we go to the AP News. Yeah, that one's going to be horrendous if that court case happens. Shout out to this tragic event, and this one too. It's not a particularly bright day. Turning up more evidence. Let's see what other. I'm trying to look for one that was specific here. That is huge. I'll go over that. Stay tuned for new evidence. Subpoenaed by feds. Uh-oh. Is Truth social? Gonna have some problems. Come on, where is Adam Kinzinger's one that I saw earlier today? Let's go with Adam Kinzinger, Cassidy. So, I don't think I spelled her name right. Oh, I did. They should all be scared. It says more Jan 6 witnesses came forward. This is the big part. This is the riveting element. If her testimony put more pressure on certain individuals to come forward, we could learn a lot more information. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to get this one, but this is big. Let's see if we can new people come forward with a bombshell. Inspired other witnesses to come forward. Yes, I don't want to get into who or any details. She's been inspiring for other people. You know, she was different than the other witnesses they had called prior to this. Other than the poor worker, the election worker from Georgia who had her mother's life ruined by this Jan 6th big lie. Yeah, nothing short of that. This happens every day. Every day we get new people coming forward. Hey, I think maybe this piece about the story that I knew was important. You know, so yeah, this is huge that her testimony put downwards pressure on people, and that their you know, the blatant call out to the witness tampering is also really huge. This is pretty big if this is all true. However, that didn't quite stop people from trying to throw the water on the brakes. Let's see if I type in the words Fox News, Cassidy Hutchinson. We're gonna get into what Trump actually said too after it, because he tweeted out. Trump tweets about sorry, tweet is a little bit too much for him to be able to do. Tweets about Cassidy Hutchinson. Let's see if terrible employee, I don't care about that. I want to see the tweets. Come on here. Here it is. So he had a not so fun time watching this because, well, of course he fucking didn't. He took a giant fucking baby. Absolute fucking triggered snowflake. Never complained about the crowd, it was massive. I didn't want or request that we make room for people with guns to my speech. Who would ever want that? Not me. Kind of strange. Besides, there were no guns found. That is not true, I don't believe. Brought into the Capitol, so where are these guns? But, well, first off, they actually did show individuals outside of his speech with guns, so this is also stupid. Like, actual video, not just, you know, words. It was used on Ashley Babbitt, somebody who was breaking and entering into a secured area. There's no place to pray against the person who used it. No, that person did the fucking job. It's sex, and Ashley Babbitt was a victim of this as much as she was a perpetrator. The pure perpetrator might be up here. I hardly knew this person, Cassidy Hutchinson, other than I heard negative things about her, but a total phony and leaker. And when she requested to go with certain others to the team to Florida, after my having served a full term in office, I personally turned down her request. Why did she want to go with us if she felt we were so terrible? I understand that, but she was very upset and angry, and I didn't want her to go or be a member of the team. She is bad news. Well, you might be correct. She is bad news. For you. Cheney conveniently left out the snippet of my speech where I said, go peacefully and patriotically. Isn't she disgraceful? You know, I think there's enough other sections of that clip of speech where, you know, Toby Tuberville or Rudy Giuliani goes trial by combat. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily just one line that you get to say, whoa, I'm free now. She changed lawyers a couple of days ago. Yeah, this was the one I was talking about. Originally was a Trump lawyer, and I think she might have walked herself into a trap or started to smell the bullshit. The fake story, so I tried to grab the steering wheel. You know what he also did? Trump, OANN? Did he get interviewed by them? Let's see. It was either that. It's One American News, and what's the other one? Let's see if I just type in Trump interview if it comes up. I think it's gonna be in here, but I'll skip around.
This
is so yeah, they completely let's just get to the part where they show Trump talking. Do they not? Bah humbug. I'm doing this poorly. I feel like a more seasoned streamer would. Oh, here it is.
Have to consider, because this is what Trump is putting out there in terms of attacking these people. Listen.
This lady yesterday, there's something wrong with her. The woman is living in fantasy land. Some whack job. She's got serious problems. Let me put it that way.
What'd you make of Fox
Mental
News?
problems.
What do you say to that, Melissa? Well, it's classic Trump playbook. He, after I've spoken out against him, he's put out 2 statements against me using very similar language, calling me a clown.
So this was his direct response afterwards.
Welcome back. I'm Rob Finnerty. Yesterday afternoon, I sat down with former President Donald Trump at his New Jersey Golf Club. His first interview since the explosive January 6 hearing testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson on Tuesday. Take a look. It's been an interesting couple of days, Mr. President. The January 6th committee yesterday holding a special session with what they're calling apparently some new evidence. They had a junior staffer, Cassidy Hutchinson, 26 years old. She made some wild secondhand accusations about you.
Crazy.
What'd you make of that?
I thought it was absolutely crazy. This committee is, a lot of people say illegally formed, but when you look at what they're doing and when you...
No, it's not. It was completely voted correctly. Secondly, well, some of them were secondhand, some of them also were firsthand, that were equally as damning, such as Mark Meadows just sitting on the couch not giving a shit. And you know, I think the rest of the secondhand backs up what we've seen from other sources that were even closer.
You look at what they're saying and what they're doing to the country. Now, the good news is a lot of people aren't watching. A lot of people aren't listening to it. But they're trying to do real harm. We went through Russia. We went through Ukraine. We went through the Mueller report, no collusion after 3 years, 2.5 years. And now we're going through this. It's a one-way.
People went to jail through the Mueller report.
Sideshow. It's a horrible thing that they can do to the country where they take this kind of time. They don't talk about making America great anymore. All they do is investigate everybody. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. Now, this lady yesterday, is something wrong with her? Is there something wrong? She said, I jumped from a car and I started strangling. Think of this. I started strangling a Secret Service agent who I know very well. I grabbed the steering wheel of a car that said that I wanted guns at my rally. I didn't want guns. I have to speak too, and I don't want guns for anybody.
Is there any truth
to that? Of course
not.
In fact, the Secret Service came out and said that the story is totally false.
Yeah.
The woman is living in...
They did say that they might be willing to testify under oath. If that comes to light, that this was a secondhand account that was not true, that would be one thing. It wouldn't make her secondhand telling, because that conversation could have still happened. It could have been fabricated from that moment. However, we know he was at least probably very frustrated. He could never bring himself to condemn the rioting. He still believes this has been a stolen election, still is pushing this dangerous, dangerous habit.
In fantasy land. She's a social climber, if you call that social. I think it's just a shame that this is happening to our country. And we don't have any Republicans up there to dispute it. We have one who quit, Kinzinger, and we have another one who's down by 35 points in Wyoming. She's a total disaster. She's a train wreck. But think of it, nobody to cross-examine. Professor Dershowitz said you can't do where you have a hearing and there's no cross-examination. This would have been the easiest cross-examination.
Alan Dershowitz is a lawyer that we should get into at some point. I should go dig into his history. Not quite the guy that I think you should be taking legal advice from. Gotta go out on a limb here. Same with Giuliani, the Kraken lawyer, Lynn, any of those guys.
Nation anywhere, and they put her on, and they don't even confirm it with the Secret Service. The Secret Service people in the car said this didn't happen, but you don't even need that. Who would do that? I would grab a Secret Service person by the throat.
I don't even know if it's possible. Certainly not in the Beast.
It's very hard.
Even in one of the SUVs.
Well, it's very hard for another reason. These guys lift 350 pounds.
Right. I saw you get out of the SUV tonight. It seemed like it was pretty smooth.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, but you know, these are people. These are great people. These are great people. They've devoted their lives to it, and I think they were very embarrassed by it because it makes them sound terrible.
Tony Ornato and Bobby Engel.
They're great. I know them very well.
Sterling.
They're
records.
sterling. And it was very nice that they came to my
I believe it's Tony actually was a Secret Service member and then became a part of Trump's admin. This is that's very obscure to happen and very strange. We might jump out of this because I want to get to do my kind of, I think, very true first live react to another creator. I saw this last night right as we well, I guess we might also have to look at that one. Holy crap. Let's see. Challenge the system. Where did I see it last night? Stunning inept response. This actually might be the one. Yeah, that might be very true. Witness debunked. So we're gonna go quickly over this. We might jump around, but I'm kind of curious because I'm gonna wrap up my Jan 6 thing here in a second, but with some final thoughts. But we'll see what this is.
If you feel like
Oh God, please not. Oh, this is Crowder. Okay, let's go skip.
She's a journalist based in Washington, D.C. and a contributor to The Gray Zone. She's produced and reported several documentaries.
The Gray Zone. That should be an interesting warning flag already.
Including on-the-ground reports from the Korean Peninsula, Palestine, Venezuela, and Honduras. Please welcome Anya Parampel. Hello, how are you?
Hey, Kurt. Hey, Jimmy.
Good to see you. Stephanie, say hello.
Hello,
Anya. Okay, Steph is also here.
I gotta say, if what I saw in LA was any indication, the special's gonna be great.
Oh, that's very sweet. Yes, that was an indication. It was an indication.
Hey, Anya, can you come a little
I thought
closer
you
to
did
the
a
camera?
different show every night.
Oh, yeah.
You asked me if I was going to cover the, I can't even, what's the lady's name that did the testimony?
Cassidy Hutchinson?
That's it. So you texted me today, so you're going to cover
I thought
this.
she was sainted now. We all
So
must know her names.
I went to the comedy club in Burbank last night over at Flappers, and there were people talking about this. Like, hey, did you see that testimony from the thing? I'm like, no, I don't follow the January 6th. They're like, how could you not follow that? I'm like, because it's all bullshit. And they're like, no, his own blah, blah, blah said that he was choking his own driver. And so, all right, so I looked into this. So I went and I got the video of that woman's testimony.
First off, the idea of this is all bullshit. Is he giving into the idea that it was stolen? That I would be heavily uncomfortable by that idea. While this committee might have elements of bullshittiness in it, such as the fact that it might not result in the needed outcomes, or what have you. No, I think this is important as a element of how we move forward as a nation.
And what's her name?
Cassidy.
Cassidy what?
Cassidy Hutchinson. Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson. And I thought it was interesting. They had a commercial that ran in front of it. And of course, it just reminds you you're in America because everything is sponsored, right?
So, live from Washington, D.C. It's a Capital Report, Monday, July 4th, 8, 7 Central. Sponsored by the Boeing Company and American Airlines.
That's right. That's right. Sponsored by the good people at Boeing.
I will say it's a neat fireworks show, though.
Yeah, I bet.
Capital.
Yes, I would like to go. Where else would the United States of America get the money for a fireworks show unless it was sponsored by the good people at Boeing?
Pfizer, I guess.
I'd probably get it from Pfizer.
Hey, that's the Ukraine money at work.
So here we go. So let's watch this testimony. Liz Cheney is chairing this. She's fantastic. I think she should be president. And she's pro-torture, which is what it makes, you need to be. You got to be.
Whispering it.
She is pro-torture, and that is an absolute reason to hate her. Again, they're doing the basic minimum of being in a republic, democracy. This is insane that we give them any more credit than the fact that they did their fucking jobs. I do understand that there is a line between praising her and reminding ourselves that she is pro-torture, very pro-capitalism to anarcho levels almost in terms of regulation. So yeah, again, they're doing the right thing here, but that's about it.
You got to be pro-torture if you're going to be president. So here's what she said happened, right? Here's what she said happened. Here we go.
Here's the president's motorcade leaving the ellipse after his speech.
So there's the president. He's leaving. Let's speed it up. Go ahead. Go faster. So there's the president. He's leaving. And now listen to the story. Cassidy Hutchinson's going to tell about what happened.
When you returned to the White House in the motorcade after the president's speech, where did you go?
When I returned to the White House, I walked upstairs towards the chief of staff's office, and I noticed Mr. Renato lingering outside of the office. Once we had made eye contact, he quickly waved me to go into his office, which was just across the hall from mine. When I went in, he shut the door, and I noticed Bobby Engel, who was the head of...
When she said that, I thought we were in for a Matt Lauer moment.
Yeah, it's a Me Too moment.
Yeah, I was like, when he shut the door, I was like, oh no!
He hit a button under his desk.
Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he'd said, "Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast?" I said, "No, Tony, I just got back."
Why?
The Beast is a presidential limo, by the way.
Yeah, so she says, did you effing hear? Why did you have to put effing in? Like, who cares if he swore?
Yeah, no kidding.
Effing hear what happened.
Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast? First of all,
very ASMR testimony. By the way.
Very, very good way to put it.
Wait, what does that mean? ASMR testimony. Okay.
Here we go.
Right across the hall.
Yeah, she's very breathy with her speech, right? Okay, here we go.
What happened?
What happened?
Tony proceeded to tell me that when the president got in the Beast, he was under the impression from Mr. Meadows that the off-the-record movement to the Capitol was still possible and likely to happen, but that Bobby had more information. So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol. And when Bobby had relayed to him, we don't have the assets to do it. It's not secure. We're going back to the West Wing. The president had a very angry response to that.
She starts smiling when she says
everything. Yeah, I mean, just look at her face.
Why is she smiling when he had a?
Is it the face of an honest person? Is she behaving like she's telling the truth?
No, she seems like an actress. She seems like she's acting 100%.
No, that's an insult. You know, I watch some of those American crime story shows where they do the dramatic court scenes, the reenactments. Like those people do much better. The actors in those shows.
Okay, we're gonna get somewhere.
Those do much better.
So here we go. She's got more to say. She's going to tell you what the president did as she giggles. And she's looking down to the left, which some people say is a sign she's lying.
Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, taking up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted the story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
His clavicles?
Clavicles.
And was Mr. Engel in the room as Mr. Renato told you the story?
He was.
Hey, why don't you get off my clavicle? This guy's been busting my clavicle
all day.
All goddamn day. Why don't you suck out some clavicle?
Are they going to get to a point? Like, I don't know. Like, first off, this is a pretty serious accusation. You know, I would hope that you could cover it without making, shit-tier comedy.
Something for you. How about some clavicle? I got something for you right here. What's that? My clavicle.
He pressed a button and locked his dressing room door and motioned towards his clavicle.
Did Mr. Engel correct or disagree with any part of the story from Mr. Ornato?
Mr. Engel did not correct or disagree with any part of the story.
He did not?
Did Mr. Engel or Mr. Ornato ever after that tell you that what Mr. Ornato had just said was untrue?
Neither Mr. Ornato nor Mr. Engel told me ever that it was untrue.
So they told her this. So by the way, this isn't her test. She's not giving you eyewitness testimony. She's telling you a story she heard from someone else, and it's not accurate.
When is that ever?
Wait, hold on. I mean, this event could be true without the event being true. This conversation could have totally happened. This conversation could have happened word for word, and it still could have not happened. The actual event itself. Weird.
The standard for witness testimony. Oh, this is what my friend
told me.
The Elon Musk allegations.
That's right. Same thing with Elon.
This isn't a criminal investigation. Hearsay is something that will be brought into. I don't know what you're trying to get.
Elon Musk. It was not the girl who was allegedly sexually harassed by him, but a friend of the woman who was sexually harassed by him. And that's not credible. Nor is this. This is not credible. Why? Because she's not giving you eyewitness testimony. She's telling you a story someone else told her. And now, by the way,
they paid that. By the way, they paid that Elon Musk accusation $250,000.
People that told her that story are disagreeing with her version of it. So here we go. Let's listen to more. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, are you telling me that nobody reached for the guy's clavicles?
Nobody.
Are you sure?
Yeah, kind of unclear at the point here. They've poisoned the well in some ways of actually building up a case to be like, hey, this is what she said. Maybe make some jokes here, but they've already said, yeah, this is false. This is not true. I mean, obviously, I guess if they've already done it by the pretext. That's kind of how you do videos anyway, I guess. It's just something where, it would be better if they allowed ABC and then made jokes at it. At this point, they've made the majority of jokes over 8 minutes.
So that's it. So that was the end of it. So that's the end of the part I'm going to play right now. But so everybody's saying that I go into the comedy club last night. People are beaming. Did you see that testimony? Did you see the testimony? And this is what they were referring to. This is the bombshell. This is called hearsay.
Whoa. This is not just the bombshell. This is a bad fucking point. I'll have to stop him right here. There were multiple more points made about conversations between that she had been privy to that talked about Proud Boys. There was the idea that Mark Meadows didn't give a shit about the insurrection happening, that there was no pressure that he put on Trump. These are huge details, as well as the witness tampering at the end. What are some other key moments from there? I feel like there's another one that's not coming to mind, but the idea that this is the only bombshell that she dropped is dumb. Now, was it a headline grabber? Absolutely, but it was not it, and it caused more pressure.
Gossip. This is a bombshell is not gossip or hearsay.
Did he establish that that's as good as evidence now?
I guess that's as good. They were already making memes about it. Of course, he's got the Ukraine flag colors, and they're making a meme about it that it never happened. Why do I know it never happened? Because they never asked the Secret Service their side of the story. The committee, the January 6th committee, they asked her to tell a story she heard from a Secret Service person, but they never contacted the Secret Service person. Why do you think that is? I'll tell you why. Because it's a bullshit. What's that?
How is that a proper committee? You'd think if you collect testimony from someone that's secondhand, the proper next step would be to say, okay, now I'm going to interview that person.
Why would you want to interview the Secret Service on you when you have a young lady who grabs her neck and blinks a lot? I mean, doesn't that say credibility?
Again, they can come testify under oath. They can go to that committee. Although being Secret Service members, whether they're active or not, that might make it more difficult, obviously. However, yeah, come testify under oath. That would be the answer. That's the retort.
Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson. Also, Peter Alexander, by the way, he's the big shot White House reporter from NBC News. He tweeted out this. A source close to the Secret Service tells me both Bobby Engel, the lead agent, and the presidential limousine SUV driver are prepared to testify under oath that neither man was assaulted and that Mr. Trump never lunged for the steering wheel. And then underneath it says, so basically the January 6th committee has nothing on Trump. Yes!
Again, fucking horrendously goddamn false. There have been 5 Jan 6th hearings. They had gone over how bullshit the fake fucking legal theory John Eastman pushed. They gone over just how bullshit each of his claims were. They had gone over how much they wanted this to happen, how they incited it. Guys, this is a bullshit telling of this event. Holy fuck. This is absolute horseshit. As well as, again, they mentioned a crime at the end of witness tampering. This is insane. And first off, if these guys wish to testify under oath, absolutely go ahead. More power to the committee.
Yes. Well, even if they do, I believe all women, so I believe her. Right? Don't you believe her? By the way, here it is. Secret Service agent reportedly willing to testify Trump did not lunge at him. So,
Good. Do it. But again, that's not the only claim that she made. Yes, it grabbed a lot of headlines. However, there was a ton more in there, guys. Absolute horseshit retelling of what the Jan 6th hearing is. He's already called it bullshit. You know, we're going to get to the end of this and I'll wrap up.
Senior Secret Service agents are reportedly prepared to testify that Donald Trump did not lunge for the wheel of his vehicle or physically attack the chief of his security detail after his speech near the White House on January 6th, as a former aide said he did in sworn testimony on Tuesday. So, Engel told investigators that he and Trump discussed Trump's desire to go to the Capitol and took different views on the topic. Engel noted that they went back to the White House.
Wait, okay, so he wanted to go to the Capitol. That's still fucking huge. He wanted to go to the Capitol and trip all the things that Pat Cipollone, White House legal office, was worried about. Obstruction of justice, brazenly emboldening the insurrection. Holy shit. Even here he's fucking biting the bullet. Unconsciously, that is.
Instead of heading to Capitol Hill. Boy, it's all in the framing, isn't it? Because the guy who actually was there says they discussed different views on the topic, and eventually they landed on heading back to Capitol Hill. I mean, White House instead of Capitol Hill. That's a totally different story than that woman just told. That's a completely different story, isn't it? And that's the guy
No, the still basic premise is he wanted to go to the Capitol, and Secret Service said no. This is not a different premise. Holy shit. This is brain fucking dead. Hope it goddamn turns on. Holy shit.
claims told her the story. This guy says, so this guy's a law professor. He says, don't be distracted by claims of hearsay. That goes to whether evidence can be admitted in court, not in Congress. Yeah, we don't have any standards in Congress. The key, listen to what he says next, though. The key is that Hutchinson testified under oath. If she was lying, she faces felony charges. The same can't be said for those trying to discredit her testimony. She was lying because the guy said...
So yes, she would be, number one. However, again, realize that the conversation not happening and the event not happening are two separate things, number one. And again, evidently, it put pressure somewhere. Something ran true about this. Even this fucking quote he brings up rings true that Trump wanted to go to the Capitol. He wanted to continue inciting the insurrection.
And he frickin' didn't do that. And they're willing to testify. So
they're not going to have them testify.
But they're not yet. They just won't have those guys testify, so they're not going to prosecute her, even though she's lying. Isn't that wild?
Who first of all tells somebody else's story the way she told that story, as if she was going step by step in an eyewitness account?
Yes.
Then I entered to the left, and he proceeded to tell me the story that he had heard. And what I had heard is,
I entered and I went.
Yes, again, it is hearsay, but that, you know, and it is Congress. It's not an actual court. Nobody's being tried of anything. But a narrative about what happened on Jan 6th is being created and is being laid out. Them boiling her entire testimony down to those statements is absurd.
to the left, and then he started to tell me a story.
And then they go.
But on the other hand,
Go
it
ahead.
explains why she was so unconvincing.
Yes.
She was so flat, and it looked like she was trying to remember line, and she was laughing. She was trying not to laugh at her own performance.
Yes, standing in front of cameras, nobody's ever giggled when under pressure. Not a response.
Because she wasn't telling a firsthand account, so that inauthenticity was on full display just in her body language. But yeah, I mean, if I were a lawyer, I didn't go to law school, but I'm pretty sure that if I were building a case, I would never try to submit evidence based on secondhand testimony.
This isn't a court, and they're not trying to bring charges right now. This is stupid.
Yeah.
I think you're all ignoring the fact that she did give specific details, like the clavicle.
But she did say clavicle.
She said clavicle, and she said that Trump said effing.
Effing.
So,
We got to check this Secret Service guy for 2 clavicles. They gotta tell us what the truth is. Did you see she didn't just say no? She goes, did he at this point disagree with the thing that the other man had said? And then she went, no, he did not disagree with the thing. You're like, just no. He's like, no.
I like that he says, don't be distracted by the claims of hearsay. It's like, say, don't be distracted by the fact that juicy gossip isn't actually evidence. Don't let that distract you. What are you, one of those nerds who nitpick science mistakes in Star Wars? Technically, there's no sound in space. Shut up and enjoy the show. Aaron Mate caught this. He tweets out Peter Alexander saying that the Secret Service people are prepared to contradict that woman's testimony. And he says having Russiagate bombshell flashbacks again.
Again, they're focusing on one element. They don't wish to handle the, how widespread her testimony was, where there was first-hand account given about conversations between her and Mark Meadows, and her and I believe in Rudy Giuliani. This is stupid. We also know that Trump was, I would hope that the server would corroborate the. Well, no, she saw the ketchup on the wall. She knew he was angry and the ramifications of that. Holy shit, this is stupid.
Because they said this was a bombshell, that woman's testimony. It's not. The Secret Service. Go ahead.
It's very similar to how throughout Russiagate, we would wake up one morning and suddenly it would be like Colonel Vindman,
yes,
and Ambassador Yanukovych, like all these people that nobody
ever
knew
heard
who
of.
they were.
Yeah.
No, but suddenly they were like, oh my goodness, these are the most important. It's very similar to that, where suddenly I wasn't even paying attention to the news cycle. I just was hearing Cassidy Hutchinson, and it was.
Wait, hold on. Yes, they become important out of nowhere because those are the individuals between the batshit insane thing about to happen and it not happening. They're the decision gate. Holy fuck.
The same. It was, Aaron, it was a flashback to that.
Yes.
That trauma.
Yeah, it's like bombshell, and then you just look at it for 5 seconds and you see all the cracks in their story, and there's no evidence. And that's exactly what happened here. It's a big juicy story, and then as soon as you look at it, it falls apart. There's nothing to it, and there's no evidence. Aaron Mate, but what he connects to here, so he shows this is debunking the bombshell, and then here's Democracy Now! Repeating it. So this is because Aaron used to work at Democracy Now! And Aaron, it's especially acute.
This is hurting my brain. I don't know if I can make it another. How fast are we going? Oh god.
The pain he feels when he sees Democracy Now! Being so shitty. And Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Has been bent on misreporting foreign policy as hard as they possibly can, and stuff like this. So if it has anything to do with Trump, Democracy Now! Is going to,
by that they mean Ukraine,
on purpose mislead their own viewers, which is what they did with Russiagate, which is what they did with Syria, and Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Won't even have Aaron Mate on. That's how bad. So they got somehow compromised over at Democracy Now! And you decide which donor did it. But this,
I wonder if. Okay. I guess he'll leave it up to the imagination. I have a couple of ideas who he might fill in.
This is garbage again. And he's pointing it out. And tip of the hat to Aaron Mate. Liz Cheney, the case for prosecuting Donald Trump just got much stronger. So she's already tweeting it out. There's already got.
She's campaigning for presidency.
She's doing
That's all
something.
she's doing.
Oh my goodness.
That might be an angle she tries to work by coming in as some centrist, but unfortunately that's not an avenue that would. Well, I mean, actually, kind of fortunately, that's not even an avenue that would fucking work.
The case for prosecuting Donald Trump just got much stronger. Yeah, dude's testimony may have produced a smoking gun. May have. It may not.
If true, it will really be
true.
Big if true.
And if true that these other people are coming forward now because of this testimony.
America is buzzing.
What is a woman? What?
Gothic X. I don't know who she is. Oh, God, that's one of the most racist goddamn scenes in so many ways. I'm just gonna show up to a random fucking tribe in Africa and figure out whether or not they believe in a third gender. Although I could do the academic literature research and figure out if they believe in a third gender and which tribes do. No, fuck it.
We heard yesterday White House counsel Pat Cipollone had significant concerns re Trump's January 6 activities. It's time for Mr. Cipollone to testify on the record. Any concerns he has about the institutional interests of his prior office are outweighed by the need for his testimony. Now, let me ask you this, Anya. Is she suggesting that his lawyer testify against Trump? Is that what she's saying? White House counsel. So that would mean the guy who was acting as a lawyer for Trump. She wants him to come testify against his client. Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, which I don't think.
How do you even do that legally?
Exactly. Well, apparently standards are different in
This isn't a court. I don't know. And also, again, this is a goddamn insurrection.
Congress, I assume that in court you're actually not allowed to do that. But as they all said, don't be distracted by rational thoughts and questions about.
Why is she saying that to him? Because of this story that the what's her name? Chipperson. What's her name?
Cassidy.
Chipperson.
She said that Pat Cipollone was worried about if Trump had gone to the Capitol, catching obstruction of justice charges and impeding the vote. This is, again, legitimate, serious fucking crimes against our country.
Is she relating that to this?
I can't say one or the other. It's Cassidy.
Yeah, two last names. So why wouldn't they just get those guys in the story and not his lawyer? Like, or is this a separate thing they want the lawyer to talk about?
This is probably a separate thing they want the lawyer to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But I just thought that was outrageous that she wants his former lawyer. I thought it was crazy.
In the previous testimony on the fourth hearing, they had Trump's DOJ individuals and members through that, by the way. So again, this is horseshit. They had conversations personally with Trump, as well as Cassidy Hutchinson having first-hand accounts of Mark Meadows and others that were aiding and abetting this insurrection. Holy fucking shit.
And you could hear in Liz Cheney's voice that the timbre of her father advocating for torture. You can hear it.
She likes torture.
Well, that's what's so funny about this. It's going full circle. When we are talking about lying to Congress under oath or lying under oath to before the United, I mean that was the way that the Bush administration sold its war in Iraq. You can imagine Colin Powell standing there with his weapons of mass destruction, claiming that this was definitive proof that we needed to go to war in Iraq. And now you have the spawn.
They lied about that, by the way. That was an absolute fucking lie. Really hurt America.
That administration, Liz Cheney, carrying on this legacy of political theater, kind of just designed to, in this case, distract the public, but also behind it is, of course, it's the same. It's exactly an extension of the Russiagate hearings, all designed.
Okay, Russiagate was, I forget its origins. MI6 guy called Steele had a dossier type thing. Mueller ended up reporting, it was back channel shit. I'm sorry. Did Jan 6 not fucking happen? Did I not witness people attack a Capitol? Does this count as gaslighting?
To delegitimize Trump and cast him as some anomaly within the U.S. state. He's somehow very evil and opposed to our grand tradition of American exceptionalism.
The irony of Liz.
I mean, okay, I understand that, yes, throughout time there has been people who have done things horrendously undemocratic in this nation, but I don't think to the point that quite as brazen. This would have been the end of our republic. Holy fuck, I still got another 13 minutes. I don't know if my brain cells are going to live still. Holy shit.
Liz Cheney trying to get a former president thrown in jail who isn't her father. Is the irony is not lost on me. That her father's a much bigger war criminal than Donald Trump. And just
true.
Criminal, period.
Do you think that this is all because Cheney had her grown so he could do a get out on her and put it, she will one day house his wicked spirit?
I'm not following what you're saying. What are you saying?
You didn't see Get Out? Where they transplant the brains? She's going to just be the vessel for Cheney's brain to keep him alive.
Oh, okay. I did see that movie. Is that for Key and Peele guy?
Yeah, Key and Peele.
Yeah. So watch this. So now she tells this story. You ready for this story? Watch this. Oh, wait, hang on. Why isn't it working? Oh, wait. Oh, but I have one more story to tell. But before we get to that, there was also some controversy over in her testimony. She said that she had made a handwritten note. I didn't watch this, but there was controversy about it because I was looking it up and I read this. It said the handwritten note that Cassidy Hutchinson testified was written by her was in fact written by Eric Hirschman on January 6th, said a spokesman for Hirschman. All sources with direct knowledge in law enforcement have and will confirm that it was written by Mr. Hirschman. So I guess.
What was this handwritten note? I actually remember it being pretty serious still. Handwritten note, Cassidy Hutchinson. Let's see if we can just get an image of what it was, because I don't remember it myself. Oh, crap. That's the note right there. I think even if Eric Hirschman wrote this note instead of Cassidy Hutchinson, I would still think it was pretty damning from what I remember of the note. Anyone who entered the Capitol building without prior authority should leave immediately, and the word illegally crossed out. Wait, so this still was written by Eric Hirschman? Okay. I guess we'll have a dispute over it, but it was still what the fucking note said. I don't understand his point.
She told some big story about how she had written some handwritten note, and turns out that's not true either.
Did the note say try not to laugh?
No, it said sit in your chair.
She got her note switched with Biden.
So,
do you need 1,000 parts or?
Why? Why is this a goddamn thing?
while we understand that she and Mr. Hirschman may have the committee's response. While we understand that she and Mr. Hirschman may have differing recollections of who wrote the note. No, she's lying.
This is gaslighting. People can't have different recollections of something. Not everybody's perspective is real.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody's lying.
I wrote down that note, or someone else did. I'm not sure. What?
Well, you remember the note still said what it said, and by the way, what it said was, they didn't want to add the word illegal in the address. They did not want to condemn this in any criminal fashion because they knew what the fuck they were doing.
Remember it your way, and I'll remember it my way.
Yeah, let's just agree to disagree on who wrote the note.
And here's one more goofy thing she says. Ready?
After Mark had returned, I left the office and went down to the dining room, and I noticed that the door was propped open, and the valet was inside the dining room changing the tablecloth off of the dining room table. He motioned for me to come in, and then pointed towards the front of the room near the fireplace mantle and the TV, where I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall, and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall, which was causing them to have to clean up. So I grabbed a towel and started wiping.
Causing them to have to clean up.
Who talks like that?
Nobody talks like that. Nobody would tell a story if that were something that happened to them.
Is this Dante's Inferno? She's being given a tour.
Okay. Again, they have to nitpick at this element. Because if, again, this element of the story is true, that Trump was angry about not going to the Capitol, this would still be pretty effing fucking major.
Of all the, then here's the place of the broken plates. The ketchup is on the walls. Then I was ushered into another room, and I saw...
In the next realm, I saw his clavicle.
And then I heard Donald Trump slam a door. He slammed a door.
I mean, on one hand, I could believe that people who reach this level in government are that weird, but no, really, that's just, you don't talk like that. It's not the way you tell a story.
Well, just the way...
It wasn't different from any of the other testimony she gave. She did have a unique speech pattern, I would argue. Yeah, fine, but again, they have to nitpick at the aesthetics, and they can't touch the actual content. Again, that Hirschman versus her writing that note. Who fucking cares at some point? That note said something kind of important, and they didn't bring it onto the screen. They don't want to show that. At some point, I just have to say this is fucking dishonesty.
The way she talks is sus. I don't understand what her super low voice is for. I don't know why she has this kind of timbre.
She's had vocal fry.
She has vocal fry. You're right.
She was definitely coached because, as you said, it's very ASMR.
Yes.
Where she's trying to just instill confidence.
Yes, I assume her lawyer and her went over what the fuck she was going to say consistently.
And comfort, but in a very forced way, like in an auto-tuned way. She can't be genuine. I mean, can you imagine if any of these stories were real and they'd happened to her, and you had the chance to sit down and tell the story? Like, wouldn't you be emotional and animated?
I don't think she ever doesn't talk like that.
But she's wearing. But you notice how she's wearing white also, right? So that's conscious. That's a conscious thing. So she wants to.
Yes, every part of a public appearance is fucking fabricated. This is basic fucking politics. She's again pointing towards aesthetics yet again. Nothing to do with the content. Him being angry that he couldn't potentially go to the Capitol to continue inciting this riot is fucking nuts.
And so why would she do that?
We're dressing virgin white.
Right? Because she's going to come spray some false allegations and some bullshit, and they tell her wear white. It makes you look more believable. Okay. Yep. I've experienced that.
He said something to the effect of...
They probably did, by the way. Every part about the committee appearance to her appearance, completely... orchestrated. Yes, absolutely. That's what they do. This is politics, people.
He's really ticked off about this. I would stay clear of him right now. He's really, really ticked off about this right now.
So, he threw ketchup against the wall. That's the big thing. Ketchup. What's that?
She was like, there was ketchup on the
wall. Angry about not going to the Capitol to continue to incite the riot he had started. How the fuck is this falling on what seems to be, 3 brain cells bouncing around a skull? Holy fuck. This is... I legitimately worry for... Could he tie his shoes?
Cats him. I got to tell you, my buddy Nick Murphy, he wins the internet. He said Trump's presidency definitely had its highs and lows. Come on.
Okay. That's kind of good. I like that.
Yeah, and...
Come on!
Considering John Kerry, it's just funny because John Kerry, Obama's Secretary of State, is married.
That's right.
Family. It's all about the ketchup lobby.
How deep does this thing go?
So now I'll go back to the comedy club and we'll see what they're saying today. So what other piece of propaganda will the shitlibs be excited about? That they were beaming. They were beaming. I've never seen them smile.
Guys, we're going to wrap this up here. Again, let me give final takes on Jan 6th. Let's see if I can get to a cool photo. No, I don't really want her face. There's a decent photo. So, okay, yes, Jimmy Dore's video there, I think, represents something that's kind of dangerous. I mean, no shit, it's kind of dangerous. But, number one, there are people who are downplaying this to the nth degree, and people who are slightly downplaying this. Early on, Crystal Ball, another commentator who works closely with Kyle Kalinske, was downplaying this. But to a lesser degree, not that this wasn't serious, but it was just purely incompetent, and that's different. Okay, you know, not maybe my approach, but that's a debatable approach. Like, you know, we can talk about the more minute details. Jimmy Dore's approach was fucking insane. And I think it's important when you talk to your friends and your family, when talking about Jan 6th, that you, you know, have a couple stories in mind. Don't stick to these ones, I would say, about the secondhand things, because I think you're going to get caught up in the loop. However, there are better ones about John Eastman. And just push if you hear any slight equivocation that this isn't serious or that this didn't mean what it really meant. You know, gently push the conversation back towards that this is a big fucking danger. This was, you know, Caesar trying to cross the Rubicon, Cicero's conspiracy theory, the beer hole putsch, whatever you want to put it. I do believe there are parallels to those. So yeah, you know, let's go over Cicero's conspiracy. Just really quick, this will make a new thing. But yeah, to wrap up the final points, it is absolutely fucking dangerous. Nothing short of life for anyone involved in any substantial way. This is going to include maybe 100 people that need to serve life sentences. Nothing short of that. And hopefully this witness tampering will be a low-hanging fruit that will be a stepping ladder to bigger charges falling down. But do not forget that our democracy, you know, democratic republic, is under attack in two ways. Both through the coup that just occurred, that is not a dead threat yet. It is still very alive. As well as the people who are Christian nationals and don't believe in democracy and don't believe in freedom. You know, there's two elements to the threat onto our democracy from these two different spheres. And this one is not being dealt with as well as this one is currently speaking. So, onto a cool little historical event. No Name turned me onto this. No Name has a great historical knowledge, and hopefully we'll be having some fun going through some more obscure events maybe. It was devised by Kathleen to overthrow the consulship of Marcus Syrio, I forget how to pronounce his last name. Late in the year. Oh, actually, you know who might have a great video on this? I feel like somebody's gonna have a good video on this. Come on. I don't see his format, so we'll go back to the wiki. Cicero exposed a conspiracy led to flee from Rome. Conspiracy to overthrow the consulship. Huh, I've never heard of anybody in government trying to do that. Never hold power through other nefarious means. Unsuccessful candidate for consular elections in the previous year, 68 BC. He did not take this lightly. I've never seen anyone not win an election and just be chill about it. They acknowledge that this would be his last chance to obtain the consulship, led him to undertake no-holds-barred election campaign. He lost the support of many among the nobility in his previous campaign, which meant he had to look elsewhere for the backing he needed. He consequently turned increasingly towards the people, and especially those plagued by debts and other difficulties. Many of the other leading conspiracies faced political problems in the Senate. At this time, the Senate, I believe, is a stagnant body that's difficult to reform. No Name might actually expose more light in this situation. This might be the first take of many. Let's get to the actual conspiracy. On the day convened the Senate, the Temple of Jupiter, Saturn, Surrounded by armed guards, much to his surprise, Catalan was in attendance while Cicero denounced him before the Senate. According to Plutarch, the senators adjusted, slowly moved away from him during the course of the speech. The first Cicero's force, incensed at the accusations, exhorted the Senate to recall history from his family and how it had served the Republic, instructing them not to believe the false rumors and to trust the name of his family. He accused them of placing the faith in Novus Homo. Okay, something to do with nobles. Cool. Great defense, by the way. What was he actually trying to do? Sent to this for an army to manage the conspiracy, and there where he assembled his own army. Huh. Somebody assembling an army. Others were sent to the aid of the conspiracy in important locations throughout Italy. Even a small slave revolt, which began there, while civil unrest were felt throughout the countryside, made the final preparations for the conspiracy in Rome. So planning violence and trying to orchestrate it. Never seen this before. The failure of the conspiracy was a massive blow. Upon hearing about the death, many men deserted his army. They ill-equipped to march towards Gaul and then back towards Rome. So yeah, he got mud on his face. So that, I think is pretty apt to describe what Jan 6th was. It was an attempt on the Republic to steal it. Don't let people downplay it around you. Gently push them back into the idea that no matter the incompetency, that it was serious, and don't let, chuckle fucks like Jimmy Dore here tell you that it was just these two. Okay, it was so much more. So much more. His framing of this is absolute fucking shit. My god. Well, on to the next thing that would upset Jimmy Dore, apparently. We are going to look at some Ukraine updates real quick, because, we should continue to follow Ukraine. Kiev. Give me a follow, by the way, if you wish to. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, it would really help out. No Name is back tomorrow. We'll be talking about some other things, and I think that will be really interesting. Institute for the Study of War, an operational pause after the seizure of what is essentially the last part of the Luhansk Oblast. So it does look like they have probably taken the Luhansk Oblast. That is a shame. Putin having a land bridge to the island I'm blanking on the name of it. Let me pull up the live UA map so I'll stop choking on dry land. To Crimea. The big part next that if this has to hold, this is the worst case scenario, so be it. What we cannot allow is this land bridge. Okay? This area will become so heavily fortified because they cannot connect to Transnistria. This will accelerate movement of this border through Moldova, which is not a NATO country, as well as give more pressure to different oblasts in Ukraine to have to defend a longer border. Now, while this might cause problems for Russia's supply lines, it's still always good to have the surround, and them continuing the surround will be dangerous, and I think that's what Putin knows. If he can keep this up long enough and build up one more surge at the right time, this could be very devastating. Let's see, where's this? Wow. They're going for the pincer movement. I think still, as you can see, a good amount of troops are still on this front line. This connection here would be devastating. And as you can see, there's a water network up there that if they have the ability to, they could get through. So, guys, this is dangerous. And again, for the stability of Europe, it is important to keep updated on this. I know it sucks that we have to work with the current framework of the MIC, and that it does mean supporting NATO and even fucking worse characters, but fortunately they're doing the dying, and Ukraine is an independent nation. this whole bullshit by Putin pushing blood and soil is exactly what authoritarian dipshits do to push unnecessary wars that are imperialist. They are trying to capture oil. Let me bring this up, because this was in my first live stream, but there was a huge amount of oil found in Ukraine back in 2014 here, which then Putin took out east. I wonder why he's there. And out west, where he can't quite grab. This is really fucking important, guys. As well as if he cuts Odessa, he has them landlocked. So, just saying, guys, this is fucking important that he does not do this. Look at Georgia. Welcome, you know? Iron Curtain 2.0, baby. He will fucking do it if he has the ability to. You know, it has been strange. Every generation has had to fight a war that it means the entire nation. And we're one of the first not to. You know, Iraq and Afghanistan, it wasn't the whole nation that had to go to war necessarily. A lot of people did, and a lot of people suffered unnecessarily, but every generation, generally speaking, has to fight. I would hate for this to be ours because of how brutal this war would be and how dangerous this war would be. This would be catastrophic. And I'm understanding that by a mile. So, Ukraine, hold out. Yep, keep fucking destroying the ship, boys. Okay. Regularly exporting Ukrainian grain to Turkey via Crimea. Newly occupied to Turkish ports according to them. Well, I hope that grain's getting out and about. The entire entity of Donbass. Since failing to capture Kiev. Yeah, my favorite was people pivoting after they failed to take Kiev because, you know, Russia didn't have its shit together. Then pivoting to go, oh, that was just a ploy. It was just a false, you know, a switcheroo. Come on, guys. He wanted the fucking nation. He wants to put up the Iron Curtain again. Hopefully, repels troops. Okay, well, it looks like they're still holding sections of the Donbass. You know, one can only hope that they keep reclaiming territory. And with that, we're gonna get onto some CAD for the night. Before Manic ends. Alrighty, what do I need to do here? I think I probably have to make a crossbeam tonight. I want these guys to be aligned. So I'm gonna go back. There we go. We're gonna watch this.
As you are diving deeper into Fusion 360, you're destined to battle the whole bodies versus components, assemblies, can you even link in parts? Well, today we're gonna straighten all that out and ensure that you understand the whole parts, components, assemblies, so you can make your parts in greater happiness. Hello everybody, my name is Lance Christensen and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. This channel is for people who hate struggling with their CAD/CAM software. So I really appreciate all your comments and feedback down in the comment area. If you like the video, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up. If you don't, well, hit the thumbs down. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. Now, let's jump into today's topic. Bodies, components, assemblies, let's get it all figured out. A Fusion part file is really a component. See that little white square block? That shows you a component. A component contains sketches, bodies, and its own origin. So when you go ahead and start a new sketch, and you start modeling up your part, when you use the extrude command, it becomes a body. That body together. It also has names and part numbers and descriptions. This is extremely important when you're trying to make bill of materials for your drawings. Now, bodies can't do any of that. Now, if Fusion is your first CAD package, you don't have to worry about this next part. So if you've ever used anything like Inventor or SolidWorks, you're used to taking an assembly and kind of like break it down part per part. So for example, these pliers.
This will be good for me.
And the heater went on. So at this point, you will start drawing up each part individually in every part component kind of world. And then with your different drawn up components, the 4 different components, you will then go in an assembly file and you will then insert them into that assembly file. So the problem with this pair of pliers or wheel or whatever it is that this is a lot of files, right? Now, especially if you have a big assembly, you have a ton of parts. Problem number 2 is that all these parts are linked to the assembly. What can be a big hassle when you start moving things. What happens when you start moving things around is sometimes, well, then the assembly can't find that part. So now your assembly cannot display that part, and there's a big issue. Where
I don't think I've actually ever run across that problem, but large assemblies are difficult. That is a drawback of SolidWorks.
where's that part? You lose a reference.
Oh, you lose a reference, like you change a face? Yeah, you can lose that. Okay.
2 questions. Why can't we just do an assembly inside of just one component and not ending up with all these files? And second of all, how can we make a link that is strong enough so this thing just stays intact? I almost screwed the screw all the way from my hand. So to be able to do everything within one file, there's a couple of things we need to be able to do. We can take a body, remember, that always are inside of component, and we can turn that body into its own component. So now we actually end up with a component within a component, and that turns it into this assembly mode. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you'll see if I go into the bodies and I right click on it, I now get an option called create components from bodies. When I click on that, I am now creating a component out of that body, what means that this component now has its own work offset and has its own bodies and sketches. Now also, look up at the top, that icon has now changed from a single component to kind of an assembly icon. Now I gotta give you a little bit of a warning though, because we are capturing the history within Fusion 360, right? So every time you create a sketch, you extrude it out, then that will...
Okay, I got that. I like it. I'm gonna have to rename this file.
be remembered inside of the software. Now the problem is that we started out with a single component and we drew up that one part of these pliers and then we turned it into that body into a component. What that caused us to do is we have kind of a break in history. If you look at the screen, you will see that our new component only has this new component icon, whereas if we go up to the main assembly component, you will see the previous history. So it's not taking the history and converting it into the new component. That stays where it was. Many times when you know that you want to create assembly from the beginning, you're better off going in and actually create the component before you start drawing things up and create bodies. That way all the history will be captured in the component from the beginning. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, so let me just delete this part here, kind of starting over from scratch. So if I know that this is going to be an assembly file, I'm going to go up and I'm going to right click on our top component here and I can create a new component. So now this new component will contain its own sketches and bodies and its own origins also. So let me go in here and start sketching inside of this new component. So we got one component created, and to continue the assembly, we're just going to go in and create another component. Now the nice thing about this is that we can now use that first component as a reference for our second component.
This is just top-down assembly work if you've ever done it in SolidWorks, but it is pretty cool that this is like the main style in Fusion. It is a key difference.
Just a couple of things to address here. First of all, notice this little black dot next to each component. That is how you specify which component you want to be active. So you will see that when you activate a component, the other components becomes opaque or see-through. I also have to admit that I do realize that with my clearances and such with these pair pliers, yeah, they wouldn't work in the real world. Now, another important thing that I just got to point out, and I stumbled a little bit on this in the beginning, is that even though that you activate a component, if you do any sorts of cuts, as we're going to do here, some clearance cuts, you will actually see that Fusion 360 will cut through everything it sees, not just the component that you have made active. So you will see that I'm going to go in and activate component number 1, but makes everything else opaque. And I'm going to just create this little sketch to do some clearance cuts. Now I'm going to cut through both sides of this, and now when I go out of it, if I go up to my top component, you will see that the cut made it through both components, but I don't want. Well, again, that is because Fusion will cut through anything it can see. So the trick is just to hide with a little light bulb the second component when you do the cut in the first component, and then everything is as you would expect. Now let's go ahead and do the same cut on component number 2. So we will activate it, we will hide component 1, and then we can go ahead and do our cut. So this is one of my favorite things. We're only using one file, but we have multiple components within this file. Now, many times when you're doing assemblies, you want some kind of a movement, and in this case, we're going to use joints. Now, I did a video a few weeks ago on joints, so definitely check that one out. But one of the joints I did not call out in that one is the joint we're going to use here, and that is called as-built joint.
I'm going to bring that video up. Is this a link? Why would you not put a link? There we go. Okay.
Weeks ago on joints, so definitely check that one out. But one of the joints I did not call out in that one is the joint we're going to use here, and that is called as-built joint, but it's very perfect for this scenario. So we have modeled out these plier handles the way that we really want them inside of an assembly, and now we can apply a as-built joint for these pliers. So let's go ahead and do that. So you're going to go into the drop down, just like we found the other joints, and you can click as-built joints. Now, this is pretty straightforward. You select the bodies that you want the joint to be applied to, and then you can literally go over and select that joint origin. Now, we'll get the movement, and of course, we can also control limits, just like we did in the previous video. So if you go back over to the joints folder, you can right-click, and then you can set up limits. So in this case, I'm going to make it 0, and then you can add some kind of a degree that these pliers can open up. So we have our two components, and we have added our as-built joint to get the movement of the pliers. Now, we still have a couple more of components right in there, the bolt and the nut. And in this example, I am actually going to use reference models, because yes, sometimes you do want to have parts like screws or nuts or other things that you want to use from the outside and bring into the assembly. So you can definitely do that. So if you go out to the data panel, you can right-click on the component that you want to insert into the current design and just hit insert into current design. Now, when you do that, then the part will be brought in, and you can now use the joint command just like we did in the video a few weeks ago. And also notice here how I use the trick by holding down my control key so I can pick up that center point. Now we can do the same thing for the nut. Go in, right-click, insert into current design, and we can also get that one in place with the joint command. Now, one thing to notice is that the components that we brought into this design have a little chain link next to them, and that shows us.
I'm gonna search up width mate. I've been using okay, symmetry. Oh god, this fireworks all night tonight in Fusion 360. I use a lot of symmetry mates. As you could see, that I could totally use it. No assembly. I gotta type the word assembly in here. Oh my god, how many fireworks tonight, boys? Assembly. I hope this is still. Oh, this is Inventor.
Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about a pretty interesting constraint, right? So we have this linear drive assembly. I noticed that the left plate over here is moving freely, and so is the right plate. Now what I want to do is have these plates move in relation to one another. And so what I'm saying by that is if I go towards the base here, I want the right plate to move that same distance. In other words, have some sort of symmetry between them. Let's go ahead and take a look at the constraints and see what we can do about that. Adding a constraint then, right? So if we cycle through some of these constraints, we see that we have the mate, angle, tangent, insert, and then the last constraint that we have is the symmetry constraint. Right? So we click on the symmetry constraint, we see that it's asking for 3 selections. The first selection that I'm going to choose in this case is going to be the face of that plate. The second.
This is gonna help me. I don't know why I've gone too far. Is this in Fusion or?
And we want a.
This is in SolidWorks. Why? Why? That's in SolidWorks too. God, they're not fucking stupid. Is there not a symmetry mate? Oh my god, I swear to god if they don't have it, I'm gonna advocate to not have this. Okay, hold on, there is. Oh no, wait, this is a SolidWorks. Midplane. This is nuts if they don't have the symmetry constraint. I'm just gonna keep trying to work with this. I have no idea. We're gonna try to link these two together. That's gonna be my first step. Modify align. Nope, that does not. That's not a mate. Cool. So I need. It has to be a joint. Okay, blue is there. Yeah, this is just not as nice. I'm gonna have to be blunt here, people. Is this where it used to be? No, it wasn't, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get it back right. I'm gonna have to know numbers, people. Is that like 47? Okay, it might have been. Holy crap, dude. This is... Wanting... Yeah, no shit, you couldn't resolve that. What was that last joint? We're deleting whatever the hell that last joint was. Wait, what is this? Delete. Maybe if I put the beam in, I can use the beam to constrain the two. But that just seems like a workaround that's completely unnecessary in so many goddamn ways. We're gonna make a copy of this. No. So we are going to try to see if I can mate this thing. I'm not enjoying this. I'm gonna either have to get No Name to give me a large ass hearing on this, or I just want to switch softwares at this point. Why would that be, guys? I'm just saying, this is not as user-friendly as I kind of remember it being. I like some of the ideas of, like, you know, doing this, but, like, wait, no, you see, because it's the other way around. But you see, that's not even in the center. I'm really worried that I'm just kind of making, shit up as I go in ways that are just completely inappropriate. We're gonna really have to see if I choose to stick here. I would have been so much further in SolidWorks by now. I keep making this complaint each night, but I don't really want to buy SolidWorks, and I know that I could learn this if I just put my effort into it. Nope, because it's where it's going to. I think that's my problem here. This does not create a problem. Why do you create a problem? That one has independence. I'm thinking like a SolidWorks person here, which is the main problem. And I just don't have the mindset yet for the software. Back to the drawing board.
In this video, we're going to attack sample and joints in Fusion 360. It seems to me that most videos out there is just using a pin and a round hole. Are you also looking for something a little bit more complex? Hi everybody, my name is Lars Christensen.
That actually is a good promising start for me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. As always, I really appreciate your feedback on this type of videos, so please feel free to put your comments and suggestions down in the comment area. So I have to admit that I have been struggling a little bit wrapping my head around this whole joint within Fusion 360, mainly because as many of you, I come from another CAD system that does things a little different. So like I said in the intro, I always feel like the examples on YouTube are parts that are so different from what I'm trying to put together. So I watch the video and I say, all right, I got it. And then when I sit down to actually do it on my part, frustration. So my attempt with this video is to make it one step better. You let me know in the comment area. So we're going to assemble 3 things in this video. A curve vise downloaded from their website, a lathe chuck done by Michael Carlson, great work. And then at the end, we will put the vise from the first example onto a table with the clamping and everything. Now, if you scroll down the description area of this video, you will find a link to all 3 datasets. So then you don't have to do all the work, and hopefully you can find these models useful. Now, let's get going with using some joints. So like I said, this model was downloaded right from Kurt's own website. The only thing I did was I added a little bit of appearance to it just to make it look a little nicer. Now, the first thing you always want to do when you bring in models like this is you want to go up and you want to right-click, and we want to capture the design history. This is the first step. Unless you have to work with this imported model some other way, this is always the thing you want to do, capture the design history. Now, we have the design history bar down here, and everything we do from now on will be captured. So I downloaded this model right from Kurt's website. I can't remember if it was an IGES or a STAP, but it doesn't really matter. See, the thing is that all the components inside of this part is right now just floating around in space. That's very inconvenient, but sadly the way it is. When you export an assembly out of a CAD system, you don't get all the mates or joints with it. So everything is floating around. So the first thing we got to do is we got to tie one of these parts down. So what do I mean when I'm talking about the things that are floating around in space? Well, if I grab any of these parts, you will see that they are just floating around. Nothing is tied down. So it has the same position as it did when it was exported out in its original CAD system, but right now everything's kind of like floating around, and we need to solve that. So the first thing we wanted to do was to capture the history. Now the second thing we want to do is we want to ground or fix one of these parts. It needs to kind of like be locked down in space. And we're looking at a vise like this, probably the base is the one that makes the most sense. So you can do that by finding it in the feature tree, and you can right click and then you can just hit ground. You'll see we get a little thumb tag on here. So that means that right in space. And we're looking at a vise like this, probably the base is the one that makes the most sense. So you can do that by finding it in the feature tree, and you can right click and then you can just hit ground. You'll see we get a little thumb tag on here. So that means that right now.
Hold on, I like that. I have something wonky in here. Where is this guy? No. Is this guy still free floating? Oh, I think I might have just made it straight up rigid. What happens if I go here, if I go ground? Okay, might have just actually grounded it, which is good.
This base is sitting tied down in space. So the first thing is to turn on capturing the design history by right-clicking on the top component. The second thing is to ground one of the parts. Now the next thing I want to show you is something that is really important that you know about, and that's called rigid group. So rigid group exists down underneath the assemble drop down here. You'll see rigid group right here. If I select rigid group and I click on the movable jaw and the movable screws right here and create a rigid group out of these, they are kind of fixed or ground, but they can still move as a group. This is extremely handy when you're working with imported models, because what that means is that I brought my model in, I fixed one of them, or I grounded one of them. Now any other component...
This would be setting up a ton of coincidence mates. This is actually kind of nice in ways that I like. Okay, I might have to eat my words. There's some elements that I could totally see this being bad. But if you know that one thing is together and it's like correct, that this is a nice way. One thing that would be cool in SolidWorks if there was batch coincidence mates.
In my assembly that I want to kind of ground or tie down, I can use the rigid group for that. I'm going to use it a couple of times doing this video, so you will definitely get to need it. So what I'm going to group next is all the things over here that is tied down to the base itself. So I can go over here and I can say what parts are not going to move in this assembly, and that would be this guard here, the fixed jaw, some screws, there's a solid jaw here, there's also this retainer ring over here. Now this model here from Kurt is not a perfect model, but it's good enough for what we need here. So I'm just going to select those 6 items and rigid group those, and now those have tied down. So right now I only have 2 movable things on this model. I have that first rigid group I did, and then I have this little handle down here that we really want to spin around. And this is the first place I'm going to introduce you to a joint. So after you have turned on capturing history, after that you have fixed or grounded the main component of your assembly, next use the rigid group to tie everything else down that is not really going to move or is going to move in a contact kind of set. So let's talk joints. We will find the joint command up here under the assemble also. So I'm going to click on that. You will see that we get a pop-up window that talks about capturing the position. So what has happened here is that Fusion noticed that I moved this little handle piece, a little end piece over here out of the way, and I have now executed the joint command, and it's just curious to see if I want to capture where it is right now, or if that was just me moving things around. So you will see that generally I will hit the capture position, and it actually puts a little feature down in the feature tree for that, what can be handy later on. Now, there's 2 rules that I want to share with you when it comes to joints. The first thing is always select the model that you want to move. So that's rule number 1. So whatever model you want to move from somewhere to somewhere else, make sure you select that one first. Now, the second rule about joints was probably the most profound thing that I heard and made me understand it. That was actually my friend Bryce Hadenthal who told me about it. And that is, when you're coming from other CAD systems, you are focused on eliminating degrees of freedom. Fusion does it a little bit different. Instead of removing each degree of freedom one at a time, Fusion does it all at once. And then we are releasing the degrees of freedom as we need them. So let me move over so we can see the handle piece of...
This is definitely why I'm getting tripped up. This is definitely a huge mindset change. I don't know if I particularly like that theory, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure how keen I'm on that.
Part of the handle piece here. So what I want is I want to make or join that piece with where I drag it from. So like I said, rule number 1, select the piece that needs to move. Now what you will see that happens is that when I hover over it, there's like this half moon, circle, Pac-Man, whatever you want to call it, that kind of appear. And that is actually what is going to control how things lines up. So you will see if I'm hovering around on this, that little half circle or circle with a half moon in within it, that is actually how Fusion is going to line things up. I'm going to use it a couple of times, so there's no worries about it. You'll get a hang of it. So I'm going to move over until it snaps to the center, and then I'm just going to left click on that. Now when I do that, I can select where I want that to go. So I'm going to spin the model around, and I'm going to select right in the same inside the center here, and click again. Now when I do that, you will see that the pot moves over, and it kind of like shook a little bit. That is because over here on our menu to the right, we have some different motion types. Like I talked about, instead of removing degrees of freedom one by one, we actually tied this part down, and now we actually going to lose it up. Because what I want this thing to be able to do is actually to spin around. So I'm going to go down to the drop down here, and you will see that I get different options. In our case, well, I want a revolute, so I'm going to select that. And when I do that, you will see that it actually plays a little bit in the interface that is actually spinning around. You can also hit this little play button down here, and you can see it again. Also, right underneath the revolute, we can actually control what axis we want to use. So you will see this in a second. This is what I want this little part to do. So as that thing is spinning around on the screen there. So remember this, that you always want to select the component that you want to move to the other component. You get this little half moon shape. And like I said, we are going to see that a few more times as we're going through this. And you're aligning those, and then you're releasing that degrees of freedom.
Holy crap, this is a long video. This might be better offline. That one might have what I'm looking for. Let's see if I could find a gantry video there.
Hi.
It just, you know, it is really different, how this works to me. You know, like, I don't know, I would make some arguments to the validity of it. So, I'm getting them right. If I go there, and then I pick here. I say, what? Why would this cause a problem? This guy has a degree of freedom, goddammit. And so does this guy. This is nuts, guys. I'm sorry. I am not having a very good time with this thing. I haven't even got to like design the custom plate yet. Like if these aren't even the plates I want, I should have been done with this gantry so long ago. This thing would have taken me less than 20 minutes. Why the hell is this so crazy? Tangent relationships. Wait, if I say tangent... Nope. Because it's not a coplanar attachment. Tri-point tangent rigid groups. Wait, if I align it and then make it a rigid group, is that a good idea? Let's try that. No, not move copy. We're going to align, and then we'll make a rigid group out of it. Align. This face. Guys, if this works, I'm going to hurt myself. Okay. And then we're going to grab this guy and this guy, and we are going to make them a rigid group. Oh my god, I finally did it, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have one. This thing actually does its job. It is a slider mechanism. Wow, that only took me 3 days. That's embarrassing. Up to, and we're just gonna select that face. Join. Oh. Profile plane, whoops, I selected it wrong. That's kind of strange, I've never thought about that. Nice. Okay. We go there's going to be have to be so much more. This might become a too high actually one. This might be a 2, because then I could maybe I still only need a 1. Oh, so I'm shifting around here. Well, it's not linked, so why can't I fix it or change it? Huh. It is not a happy camper. Dissolve. Copy, cut, delete. Yeah, isn't this what the fuck the softwares are supposed to be about? The fact that I couldn't find if there was a symmetry mate is ridiculous to me. I have no idea how there's not a... Am I looking on the CSO side on? Why am I seeing a difference in the beam? Oh my god, there's a difference. You know, it's gonna be so funny when Beef comes back and just whoops my ass. Yeah. My old design partner, a different dude, not no name, who I just name dropped randomly. Holy crap. You know, I used to design a lot in this, but... Okay, so we kind of figured out how to make this happen in a bad method. I am not sure. I'm gonna... When No Name gets back, we'll go over this project. I apologize. I know this is day 3 and we, you know, having essentially nothing done. But holy crap, this should take like 20 minutes at best, and this is insane that it's taken me this long. Oh, wait a second. It's because I did that. Okay, but these are still off. Even to my best abilities, I think these are still off. I have no idea why. I think we'll figure this out tomorrow, and I'll explain to my little design partner how I should relearn this. No name is working at it right now, so he knows what's up. Oh my god, this is so bad of me. Fuck it. We're doing Manic minus, and I'm just Manic. Screw it. We'll game for an hour instead. No name just texted me. Is this coming through on the... Oh, I don't know if there's any sound. Oh, there's sound. Sweet. I thought using... 60. I swear to God, let's go enjoy killing monsters. Maybe. I can do it. What's it? I don't want to do that after. Okay, yeah, let's do this.
We have located a cave that is rich with energy crystal seams and/or deposits. Unfortunately, that cave is too...
Your air supply is running out.
Just off of these resources, I'll be able to get what I need to get to. Cool. Yeah, everyone here, go get a gun. When in doubt, get a gun.
Rubble!
Construction is also going to be high on our priority.
Priorities.
That's good.
Tool store.
Go to buildings menu.
Should I do that? I don't know if I should do that, but we'll find out here in a second. Construction is now the highest priority.
Increase priority level.
Yeah, I think I would prevent any runaway. Oops, sorry. I really hope there's no monsters, because this is not a super defendable locale.
Building.
I mean, it makes for some good choke points. Perhaps I can use to my advantage. I forget how long this one is.
Power station. Support station.
An energy crystal touching down.
An energy crystal has been found.
Okay. I'm not going to press my luck on that too much. Give me 30 seconds. Okay, these are.
Power station. Power station. Building.
Ooh, I maybe should have put that in the corner.
Cancel
That'd be easier to
building.
defend. I can't tell yet. So we're not blowing up any more walls until we clear this.
Power station.
Do we need more energy crystals? No, we have 8. We should be completely okay. Plus we have a wall to draw. Yeah, we're fine on ore and we have energy crystals. We don't need to move an inch.
Teleport pad. Solid rock. Solid rock. A monster has appeared.
Good timing. Oh crap, I forgot it. Get him, boys.
Oh, see.
Not get him, out of here. What's my objective? I keep forgetting my objective. I think it's to get energy crystals. So we're gonna start blowing things. Yeah, we should start blowing energy past them. And everyone needs to be going to the chief.
Electric fan.
I hope that works. I forget how these actually kind of work. We're gonna cover up this side. Oh, there's
Tool
a stream
store.
chat. That's super sick.
Power path.
Give me a second.
Solid
I
rock.
got a weird stuff coming into me.
Solid rock. Solid rock.
Too many people. That is real awesome. I'm super excited to. So one thing I'm going to try to add to this community that these devs who have brought back this wonderful game have done is design some of the components. Fan stuff is appreciated, which is awesome. They seem like great people. Unfortunately, you know, but they want to keep apolitical, which totally makes sense to me.
An energy crystal has
I'm not
been
exactly
found.
neutral on stuff, so you know, totally makes sense to want to. I just gotta keep zapping.
Place electric fan.
Place electric fence.
Power path.
The devs seem more awesome from the person I'm speaking to.
Solid rock.
An energy crystal has been found.
Scary stuff, boys and girls. I'm actually worried about energy slugs now, because I don't know if they're in this game. So I don't read betas. I don't read publisher notes because that would be fun. What's the fun without a little bit of danger, you know? We're gonna try to advance very slowly. We have the ability to have choke points.
A monster has appeared. Teleport back. A monster has appeared. Action stations!
Get guns, get guns, get guns. Holy crap. Oh crap.
A monster has appeared.
Oh,
Teleport pad.
Let's go, that's huge. These things do work. Okay, we're gonna... Wait.
Action station!
Did you see us run
Action station!
This is so awesome. Pure 100% nostalgia.
Use dynamite. Reinforced wall.
You know what? That might be the best method. I don't want them standing around that wall if they don't have to. I feel like they're pretty good at running. It's really just gonna come down to whether or not they make it in time, you know?
A slimy slug is invading your base.
Where? Do we have the right...
Solid rock.
I don't know if we got the right stuff, boys. It's okay, we got numbers on it.
Teleport rock raiders. A monster has appeared. Get pushery.
Solid rock.
We're good.
Action stations!
I love the animation there at the end. The little shimmy shake. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna keep fortifying here. Run, bud.
An energy crystal has been found.
A monster has appeared.
We got a whole ass cavern to defend now, boys.
Action stations!
Oh, over here.
A monster has appeared.
See, closer to home because at this point we have a problem. My second problem is that we're gonna continue to have monsters right now, I think. We gotta blow some walls.
Action stations! A slimy slug is invading your base.
Solid rock.
Good, that'll bring people back over here.
A monster has appeared.
Where? Oh, same territory? Great.
A monster has appeared.
I'm gonna see if we can start to set up defenses that are further away. Just cause if I can start to control the...
A monster has appeared. Place electric fence.
We can start to have some dictatorial power over a territory. I don't have to worry quite as much. Yeah, we're just gonna be decked out to the nines here on electricity gates. Okay. I think this is the game plan. I don't know what they cost resource-wise, and I don't quite care, but I think they're that good. Come on, boys. There's no dishonor in shooting a monster in the back. Except for the fact that we are taking their territory, to be fair. We're gonna see how well that holds. What else can I blow? Yeah, we got time. We're doing not too shabby here.
Solid rock.
A monster has appeared.
Yeah. Oh, over here? Okay.
A monster has appeared.
Yeah, as long as you're getting that energy crystal. Where's the second monster? Is he over here? Okay.
A monster has appeared. Action stations!
A new cavern has been discovered.
Shoot. Okay, but he's over here. We're fine. Well, he's dead.
A slimy slug is invading your base.
Is he gonna die?
A monster has appeared.
Yeah, he keeps dying. I don't care.
A monster has appeared.
This is it. We just have to stay out of the ways.
Action stations!
That's not probably bad use right here. Guys, that's a slimy slug right in your face. Can he not make it a count? Oh crap. Okay, we have a second
Tool
fight
store.
here. That's fine. Once he's defeated, we're
A
fine.
monster has appeared.
Monsters don't worry too much right now. I still don't know how to train it.
Teleport.
A monster has
Turn
appeared.
power on. Repair building.
A monster has appeared. A monster has appeared.
That is bad. But they can't get through our defenses.
A monster has appeared. Action station!
Yeah. They keep getting caught on electric fences. All I have to do is worry about their safety.
A slimy slug is invading your base.
That one I do have to get how long on.
Solid rock.
Slimy slugs are bad news bears, so to speak. Oh shoot. This is scary. This one has a full shot.
Teleport Rockwell to planet. Unit teleported safely.
Power station.
A monster has appeared.
Solid rock.
A monster has appeared.
I think the biggest tip I'll have here is
A monster has appeared.
if you hear monsters appear, you don't worry. There's nothing to fret about as long as you have the electric gates up. And that you repair safe damage.
A monster has appeared. Oh!
But right now, number one is draw. He's fine. Keep doing the jobs. Don't worry about the scared monster. He's not a problem.
A monster has appeared.
Nice, the health. 30 your health.
A slimy slug is invading your base. Action stations!
That's good.
A monster has appeared.
An energy crystal has been found.
Rock monster.
Shit.
Rubble.
The timing of that was bad.
Rubble.
But if he starts to go towards the base and dies, like he's about
Solid
to,
rock.
Action
well,
stations.
that's a huge. Actually, just transported it for us if you think about it.
Action
A monster
stations.
has appeared.
As long as we keep slimy slugs away, we'll be okay. Yeah, he sucks. Hey, keep your head together for maybe 30 seconds.
Energy crystal.
Oh, got him.
A monster has appeared.
Please do that.
A monster has appeared.
This mission I'm quite enjoying comparatively. I think I've learned how to handle monsters better.
An energy crystal has been found.
There it is. Oh,
Slimy slug is invading your base. Action station. A monster has appeared.
Solid rock.
Where is everyone? Oh no, they're chasing around, dude. We got like one hope.
An energy
Solid
crystal has been found.
Oh shoot.
Solid rock.
We have so many of them. Might need a canteen or something, I forget. I don't think, no, keep on. Yeah, keep on.
Rock monster.
Because we don't want them escaping with any,
A monster. Action stations. Action stations.
They're gonna come into our territory. Okay, we'll rough this up a little bit, okay? It's not gonna be big, but he's gonna do exactly that.
A monster has appeared. Back. A slimy slug is invading your base.
Ooh, that's a close
A
one.
monster has appeared.
I gotta figure out how to do repair. If I don't know.
Power pod.
Guys, come on.
Power station.
Come on, boys, he's stealing our shit. Get out of here.
Electric vent.
Power pod.
Nice.
Action stations.
They have to go to hiding. They just go to hiding.
An energy crystal has been found. Energy crystal.
A monster has appeared. Rock monster.
Let's blow that wall next.
Power path.
A monster has appeared.
Hard rock.
Oh wow, this is okay. I got 30 minutes left on the air. I got 13 crystals.
A monster has appeared.
An energy crystal has been found.
I do want to see if I can use electrified. See if we can.
An energy crystal has been found.
A slimy slug is invading your base.
That one's fine. Man, I don't remember this much, these many monsters. It's really cool how many monsters they have though, and I'm not gonna lie. I think it makes the whole thing kind of better, honestly. Guys, this is your...
A monster has appeared.
Are they seriously all going after... Oh shoot, this is the second one. I kinda need people who aren't dedicated... Oh, it's nice to say...
A monster has appeared. A monster has appeared. Trouble.
What's that? So far, monsters are now being pretty tamed by the whole electric
Solid
fence.
rock.
I forget if I really have to get that deep into this cavern.
An energy crystal has been found. An energy crystal has been found.
Action stations.
Solid rock.
This guy poses this threat. Why the fuck are you cleaning up?
Energy crystal.
A monster station.
Hard rock.
Oh fuck.
An energy crystal has been found.
A monster has appeared. A slimy slug is invading your base. Action stations. Building. A monster has appeared.
Solid rock.
A monster has appeared.
Energy crystal.
Rubble.
I had to get to 15.
A monster has appeared. A slimy slug is invading your base.
That one's important. Get that song so boys.
A monster has appeared.
We'll get a visitor.
Solid rock. Solid rock.
Action stations.
Power path.
Action stations!
I could probably use like transport water.
Water!
An energy crystal has been found.
A monster has appeared.
And it's gone.
A monster has appeared.
It is fine.
A monster has appeared. Slimy slug is invading your base. Action stations! A monster has appeared. A monster has appeared.
Solid rock.
Guys, he's in the base. That's the important one. He's leaving. Holy crap, guys. Come on. Shoot, 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 shoot. That one's like in the base. Who doesn't have a gun right now?
An energy crystal has been found.
I feel like there's still
Tool
slugs
store.
around. Yeah, there is. Hey, you? Pick up this energy crystal. Right?
Energy crystal.
How are we down by one now? I bet one of those slugs took it. God, they're annoying little bastards.
A monster has appeared. A monster has appeared.
Perfect. Get on.
A slimy slug is invading your base.
Where? Fuck, it's
Action stations! Teleport rock cradle to planet.
Solid rock.
A monster has appeared. A monster has appeared.
We only got 10 minutes to figure out something.
Unit teleported safely.
Give me some extra time.
Solid rock.
A monster has appeared. A monster has appeared.
Hey!
Yes. Yes, I have that. And it is past midnight. I think I had some good stuff to
Your planning skills were very good in that confined space, and you collected.
So what did I learn? I think I learned you gotta stop caring about monsters once you get an electric field up. That will probably serve me really well in this mission that I'll probably try to mirror. So yeah, we're gonna hop on out of this. Windows. Close window. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in if you did. I'm Panda, no name is back tomorrow, and this was Politics and Calipers.